Back to Amanda's Bookish Adventures. It is day 9. I had to get my notebook to check. Pre-filming has kind of scattered my brain. In this one, we are going to be talking about 3 books that kind of took me by surprise this year. 2 I knew I was absolutely going to love, but the one, it kind of just blew me out of the way how much I loved it. So the one I'm talking about is Truly Devious. I don't currently own it, and this is the sequel, and as you've seen, it is on my TBR for this month. And you've seen it on day 8, where I talked about how I wanted Truly Devious to become a television series on the CW. Well, that's because I think the CW would rock it, but I did not think I would love it. So when it first came out, I was not interested in it. And then a prompt came up, I think it was for Magic Aurelium, that readathon, and I read Truly Devious for one of the prompts. Can't remember, it's written down somewhere in a notebook. And I did it for 24 hours, which got deleted. But I'm reading this book, and by the first page, or the prologue, I was so hooked I read that in 24 hours. I finished 3 books in that 24-hour span. But Truly Devious was, I'm going to say, my last book. I'm not even kidding. So I did read one of these other books in that vlog that got deleted, that 24. But, so I slept, I had to sleep. So I got like halfway through and I was like, I'm just going to go sleep for a couple hours. Well, I'm going to say I was the third into it. And I was almost close to the end, but I needed to sleep. And so I laid down 4 hours. I woke up at 10 a.m. and I barely finished that book by 11:40. And I didn't want to put it down. I wanted the sequel so badly. I wanted to continue on, which I am definitely continuing on with that series. But the way, like, the dual timelines, and you're reading from the father of the school who started the school, his emotions with his wife and daughter being kidnapped. And then in that timeline, you have people who work for him or who know the wife, who are friends with the wife. You're reading chapters from them too. And then when you go back to the school in modern day, and it talks about what the school's been through to stay open, and how Stevie, the acceptance and the riddles were so fun to read, and how the school is unique. It was so fun. It was absolutely a 5-star, and it really did surprise me, because the only mystery series that I love is Stalking Jack the Ripper, which I haven't finished the finale, but that was the only mystery series I've ever picked up that I've absolutely loved. I'm not a big mystery reader, not a big thriller reader, so that's why I never picked up Truly Devious. And if it wasn't for that readathon, I would have never picked it up. I've written it off completely because I'm not a big mystery reader. And it really kind of changed my perspective, because I was like, okay, so this is like, I love but I love romance. So that's why I love the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. I think that's what it's called. And I love the mystery and the romance. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. Truly Devious was amazing. I kept thinking about it, and I was like, well, if I finish this TBR, I'll get it. I didn't finish my November TBR. I think I finished my September TBR. But I at least wanted to read the second one before the end of the year, and I'm going to continue on with the series. So in that readathon, I talked about So This Is Love, and it was a 5-star. Both these books, at the end of this video, is a twisted tale. This one reminded me of, the third Cinderella movie, where they could kind of go back in time. And so you got the Grand Dukes pro Cinderella's, and you got Prince. And I loved it. I loved having those probes. It made it better. But they talked about social issues in this, like how they wanted to help the people, and like what they wanted to change. They wanted to change the system. They wanted to make everyone have a very good income where there is no more poverty. They wanted to help this kingdom. And I loved that. I cried. I'm not even kidding you. I cried, not even just for the romance or the Cinderella tale. I cried because of the social issues. Like, they took their time getting to know each other. It wasn't like rush off, we found each other again, we got married. they actually, excuse me, they actually took their time to get to know each other and talk about how to change this kingdom, which I love. And I've said in every video I talk about Twisted Tales, I actually am starting to prefer them over the originals. So maybe it's I'm an adult and I still love fairy tales, retellings, and I still love those movies, but I'm beginning to love the Twisted Tale versions a lot more than I thought. Like, it's changing my perspective on where the movies were, and with the adult issues or everything else, or like not hurrying and like finding happily ever after. I like that it takes time for them to get to know their characters or doing a different journey. I'm thrilled how good these books have been. Now, here is another one which I read before, because I kind of try to read from the reading order that gets released. But I read straight on till morning, and I loved Wendy. I always said I loved Peter Pan as a child, and I read the classic, which I found the classic to be quite sad. Like, when I read the classic, I found it quite sad. But reading from Wendy's point of view and her relation, how she gets friends with Peter, like, she's sick, well, not Peter, but Tinkerbell. She's 16 when she goes back to Neverland. She waited all this time for Peter, and he never came back. So she goes to Neverland, sorry. I was going to say Wonderland. And she goes through this journey, and she has a self-discovery, and Neverland, like, challenges her. And it was absolutely amazing what they challenged her to do. Change the world. So there was a lot of social issues she wanted to work on as well. And I was legit crying, like, I think the last 50 pages, I just had tears in my eyes. It was absolutely amazing to read this story. And to even go back, because I'm probably more connected with this because I've read the classic. And to have this, I would say this is my favorite. I love retellings, and I'm probably going to say, oh, I love this retelling. This has been my favorite in the entire series. I've given every Twisted Tale 5 stars because they've been amazing in my mind. They've been amazing. But these last two that I have read this year, and the talk about social issues, and I loved it. And I love the change, and I love that even though it's YA, it's talking about these issues, and yes, it's a fairy tale you get with a prince or whatever, but it's not that easy. Like, to, like, even be challenged to do this, or, like, in her time, women had no rights. You couldn't vote. Your biggest goal was to find a suitable husband, or you would be a nanny or governess or a maid. Those were your options. So for Neverland to challenge Wendy, and for her to work on those issues, and the relationship with Tinkerbell and her, and even the history, I love Neverland. Like, the way Neverland was done in this was absolutely amazing. Like, it talked about how Neverland started, like, where Neverland's been, and other things. Like, it wasn't just about Peter. We had a whole bunch of stuff, and it was absolutely amazing. And I recommend all 3 of these books, and I'm going to keep continuing on with the Twisted Tale series. But I'm really excited that those 2 Twisted Tales talked about those issues. I wish when I was a younger reader that we had these Twisted Tale books, so to talk about them, because I was always been a big romance reader, but I loved retellings. The Twisted Tale series has been my favorite retellings. They are so different from the movies, and even Truly Devious. And I'm definitely still surprised. I'm definitely going to try out more mysteries next year. Maybe a couple thrillers. I don't know if I'll read horrors because I'm not very good with horror movies. So I don't know how. I probably could read a thriller, but I don't know how I would do with like a whole horror book. I could probably do a horror middle grade, to be honest, but not a horror book. So it's very unique to see that these 3 books truly surprised me, because I knew I was going to love the Twisted Tale series. I knew I was going to love these 2. But the amount of love I had, and just the way they talked about different issues, and oh, it was amazing. And Truly Devious, that got me hooked. So I'm definitely going to read Vanishing Stairs in December. I don't know when it's going to be finished. This is a pre-filmed video. But oh, I recommend those books. Even if you don't read the entire Twisted Tale series, at least read Straight On Till Morning. I would, if you're not a big on fairy tales, just read Straight On Till this morning. I'm not going to recommend Cinderella in case that's not your thing, but read Straight On Till this morning. It is so unique and it is absolutely amazing. It's my favorite from the Twisted Tale series, and I say that like with every book, but I've read up to these ones and I need to read the new ones that have been released, but absolutely amazing. So those are like 3 books that took me by surprise. Has there been any books that took you by surprise about maybe different genre that you're like, oh, I'm really loving this, or just the connection to the book this year? Please let me know down below. Please like, please comment, please subscribe. I will see you in the next Bookmas Day video, and I hope you're having a great December. Bye!